The original Ford design team must have been very pleased to see that their creation had been taken to the hearts of so many owners over the years. It's not to say, by the way, that there weren't glitches along the way. In fact, an early version of the Capri didn't have any rear side windows at all, until they realised that the car would have to have sick bags installed for the passengers.
At one stage there was no rear window at all on the design, and Sir Patrick Hennessy was chairman, and he got in the back and said, I can't live with this, so therefore we need a rear window. And also we had cases in some of the early tests where we had people in the rear becoming sick, so it was an obvious thing to do.
Although the Capri was going to sell well anyway, Ford found another way of getting their products into the popular public consciousness by using the power of the goggle box.
Ford's marketing people have always been really switched on, and throughout the 70s they knew how to publicise the car, and one of the best things that you could do to get a car in the public eye was to get it on big TV programmes, and so it got on the Sweeney, it got on the Professionals, and it even got on Only Fools and Horses.
In the name of supporting popular culture, we tracked down the actual shocking green Capri used in the filming of Only Fools and Horses, and it's owned by a Mr. Ian Nixon from Essex.
I'll try and keep it like it was when it was on television, just to keep the authentic sort of, the authentic feel to it.
So what sort of reaction does he get driving a flamboyant TV star car with a mock Tiger interior?
It gets a mixed reaction. Some people will say, yeah, that's the car, and other people will think, who is that bloke driving that car? So, it's almost never a dull moment when you're, driving the vehicle.
One problem that Ian's had with the extensive use of fun fur in the interior is that it's not quite so much fun when it's time to do some rewiring work.
I have had problems trying to get to the wiring on the vehicle because, fur seems to cover everything, and when you want to access a panel, you can't get in there. And it can be a bit of a nightmare. You're sort of fumbling around in the dark to a degree.
But we can't leave the Trotter's Capri without seeing how wonderfully environmentally friendly it is. I somehow don't think this is going to pass the emission legislation. A Capri was made for performance and speed, and the machine was right for tweaking and optimising to get speed and more speed out of the engine, and for testing on private tracks.
I've done 150 mile an hour in this car.
At a push it'll do 130.
Certainly the fastest car I've been in.
Gone from a Mini and an Escort into a 2.8 S Sport. You thought you'd got into a Formula One because it was that much of a difference.
When the Capri was launched, all of a sudden traffic lights meant something else. No longer were they just something to stop the flow of traffic. They were an opportunity to prove your virility when they went green if you were in a Capri.
Do you know that looking at other people's Capris, you'll soon notice it's very difficult to find two that are exactly the same. And that was all part of Ford's master plan when the car went on sale.
Ford very early on realised that not everyone wanted to buy the same car, just as not everyone wants to wear the same clothes or live in the same house. And they took that principle and applied it to cars.
The different custom packs for the Capri really gave it, it was a marvellous marketing idea in many respects.
They used to have an optional extras scheme where a radio or a vinyl roof, sports wheels, you could virtually build your own car as such.
It gave, and in fact all their adverts portrayed the situation where each individual owner could self-style the Capri that he bought to his own specific requirements.
You start off with a 1300, but you could make it look like a 3-litre GXL.
An X-Pack, an L-Pack, an R-Pack.
Pick your own Capri to some extent.
In a way, it was an ego trip for you. So, the last thing you wanted was the base car.
Or you could add them as multiples of each other. You could have an XL, you could have an XLR.
And nobody else would ever have one. The chances of anyone having a Capri just like yours was almost impossible.
How we ever managed to build cars and make it viable I would not have liked to have been a production controller in those days, ordering the materials, a vehicle scheduler, but it worked.
You wanted something that all your neighbours could see, and they would be able to see that you had the bit with all the bells and all the whistles fitted to it.
Not only had the owners plenty of personalisation options when it came to buying new all those years ago, the customisation of the Capri continues today. Look at this monster that we found at a recent Capri convention. Here was a car that promised style, practicality and performance at an amazingly affordable price, and all marketed under the slogan, the car you always promised yourself.
Well, I think the car I always promised myself had a few more creature comforts in it than this one. Still got the original blanking plate from the radio that was never fitted. There's a blanking plate over where the cigarette lighter would go, but then the upside of that is it's never been smoked in. It's never been on the motorway either. 67,000 miles it's done with one owner.
The Mark I Capri was designed to fit rear passengers okay, but maybe it left a little to be desired in the boot department. I mean, look at this, blimey, what a load of crushed handbags and hats.
Although it looks like a hatch, the Mark I wasn't, and it had a rather small boot. But this didn't stop many families choosing this as their family car.
And so the second version of the Capri became a hatchback with a much larger luggage accommodation.
So the storage issue was solved at a stroke, as the installation of this huge polystyrene ceiling tile demonstrates. 22 cubic feet, eh? Other changes with the Mark II Capri included those in the styling department, of course making sure that those stunning basic lines of the Mark I were not lost.
It was an eye-catching car, there's no, because of the shape of it. You know, when you think about the E-Type Jag, you know, which now unfortunately has gone out of circulation, is that it had that sort of shape. It had like a long front body with a short back. It had that sort of raised little bit on the bonnet as well. It had all the markings of a sports car.
New Capri is more sporty, more functional, and yet just as versatile. Positive sportiness is further underscored throughout the range by black exterior features, keying all models to the Capri S, complementing the cleaner, more sporty line. The third door is still there, of course, surely the most practical feature of all.